What's going on, everybody? It is, what is it, Wednesday already? The week is halfway done. It's hump day. This is Ask a Traffic Cop. My name is Sean Shapiro. I am a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day. And we are doing it exactly the same way as we did. Well, not the same way at all, actually. Last night we did Ask a Traffic Cop After Dark, which is what we do Tuesdays and Thursday nights at 9 p.m., talking about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, but in a much more relaxed environment at night with guests. It's a different look, it's a different feel, it's a different vibe, and I like it a lot. If you're new to the channel and you're catching us for the first time, make sure you follow, because that's how you get notified when we do this again. I try and put up content every day, and at very least 5 days a week I go live where I answer your traffic and police questions, which is pretty awesome. Sandra, how you doing? Welcome to the live stream. This is Sandra from Diamond and Diamond, one of our sponsors, who popped into Instagram to say hello. And yeah, we're doing that thing, and we're doing it for about an hour. Last night we live streamed for 2 hours, which was wild. Actually, it's not as wild as the 3 hours we did before. And we just keep it doing it. We keep doing it. Now, today, there's so much to talk about. That's because there was so much to talk about last night. And I don't have the interruptions of auctions to distract me. King of the North Auctions is a place that I spent a lot of time. And not exactly something my wife is happy about, but because they spent too much money there. But they had, because of the ice storm, delayed their Sunday auction until a split between Monday and Tuesday, which meant last night during the live stream I was bidding on stuff I wanted to buy, and I did buy a couple of things, got some good deals. You should check them out. King of the North is their website, or is it actually? It's technically. Hang on a second. I can't give them a shout out without giving them the correct website. That would just be wrong. All right, having a quick look here. Wrong browser. KOT auction. KOTNauction.com. Yeah, check them out. And don't bid on stuff that I'm bidding on, because that wouldn't be cool. But you'll never know. The intro song was created via AI by Suno, and they are a fantastic app. Very often I'll be going to a friend's house and I'll create a song that I can play just for them, that was customized just for them, never before heard by anyone. I did that yesterday, and then I played it for my friend, and he says, "Oh, that's awesome. Can I share that?" So of course you can, because that's what the joy of music is. Even though I'm not musically inclined myself, I have the ability to share stuff. Okay, which I like to do. If you're watching us, you might be watching us on TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram. We're everywhere that you are. And if you want to jump into the conversation, ask your traffic and police questions. Now, X, I see messages here in the chat. Let's jump in there and see who's doing what. Randy McNaught says, "Good Wednesday morning, brother. Best wishes from very cool Forest City in London. The weather is cold everywhere. Went for a little walk this morning, and not cool that it is cool. I'm ready for summer. I've truly had enough of cold weather. I don't need to see any cold weather again. Like I could do with the awesomeness of spring, fall all the time, like a little bit warmer, a little bit cooler. But if I have to get a parka out, it's too damn cold, and that's not it." Traveling somewhere says, "Haha, the beard when I left the army, I did the same." So yeah, it's. I think the only reason I've grown it this long, and it is the longest it's ever been, was a result of me leaving the police service and not needing to conform to uniform standards anymore. So I'm flexing my freedom here a little bit, and I'm enjoying doing that. I want to just make sure I got something set up right. I don't want to have any mic issues. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Okay, very good. Very, very good. Good morning to username Lots of Numbers with a Guinness. I know who you are, coming in from Instagram. And we've got Kevin Samantha, who sent a gift. You're starting the morning off with a gift. Thank you very much. He says, "Hey, I sent you 2 videos on Instagram. Check them out." So I put out I put out a video yesterday or the day before. The days all blend together. And I said, if you see really horrendous things that you wish a cop could see, but there's never one around when it happens, Send me the video, whether it be your dash camera or if you have just videos that you think I should have a look at. Tag me on them on whatever platform you're at. I'm VoiceOver Cop on all of them, and I will look at them. Not only will I look at them, I will respond either in comment or likely in video, because if they're good enough to be shared with me, they're likely good enough to comment on. I trust you guys. I was reading an article last night, and this is an interesting tidbit, and it basically said the cash cow is over, and it was talking about Alberta cameras, the photo radar cameras. So there's a belief there, and I'm not entirely sure why, that the cameras are just catching people breaking the law, and somehow that's unfair. I don't quite understand why. It's unfair to catch them breaking the law in what they call fishing holes, and you're breaking the law. Why is this a problem? Should we feel sympathy for those that are breaking the law at all? I'm not sure. How much over the speed limit do you think you should be able to go before you get a ticket? That is kind of sort of the question, because that's the question, or one of the most popular questions I've been asked ever. The most out there questions are, how much can I legally go over the speed limit? Well, the answer legally is nothing. You can't go over the speed limit. But how much over the speed limit should I be able to go? Should there be a threshold? Is there a little wiggle room for oopsie-doos and for miscalibrated speedometers? I'd like to know your thoughts. Let me know in the chat if you're watching, and if not, well, I guess you won't be able to tell me. If you're watching a replay, throw it in the comments. And if you're watching on TikTok, please follow, and of course, tap the screen so your fingers go numb. The likes help bring more people to the party. That's not to say that we need more people. It's just the opportunity to help more people is what I'm after. And if you haven't already checked it out, if you're a new driver, if you're somebody who's about to get their license, I am reading this magical book. Yes, every day I'm spending a little bit of time putting it together where I read it on camera so I can share it with those who are trying to get through it. And it is dry reading. I will give you that. We've done chapter 1. It was not fun, but we got through it. And a number of people have gone through and read it or followed along, so that they could have the information fed into their ear holes as opposed to their eye holes. But there's tons of great information here, and I got to tell you, rereading this on a regular basis is not a bad idea. Again, not the most interesting content. I mean, I'm a traffic geek. I like this stuff. And there's things that I read and I go, I forgot all about that. It's amazing that even I can get value out of reading something that I've looked at, and I've got multiple versions of this. I think I'm now going to subscribe to buying one every year because they do get updated. This one was January 2024. I'm assuming one is coming out for 2025. Math says, in New Brunswick, it's pretty normal to go 10 over. I think that it's pretty normal to see 20 over in some cases. 10 over is what I think the average person does. And as Big Jeff Fresh, welcome brother, says, normal is not equal to legal. Yeah, a lot of people breaking the lines. And I'd actually go so far as to say that the average person is in fact breaking the law constantly when they're behind the wheel, whether they're on their phone or they're failing to signal or they're making unsafe lane changes. But the most common one is speeding just a little bit because people say, it's harmless. No big deal. Everyone else is doing it. And it's become an acceptable thing. It's not acceptable, but it is absolutely what people do. And some people do it a lot more. And I mean, with a greater freedom. Is that the word I'm looking for? I'm not sure. They're really going to do 40 kilometers an hour over the posted speed limit is no longer a rarity. Like 40 over used to be, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing. No, it seems on the 400 series highways, 40 over is like every other car because I'm past like I'm not even moving. And oddly enough, I'm able to estimate speed, and my estimation is they're about 140. And there's absolutely people doing 150. So if that is now a small group of people as opposed to the very rare occasion, we have a problem because those people are going to hurt others. Question is, what is the hat logo? It's pretty cool. It's the VoiceOver Cop logo, at least the rendition that I made for this hat. I was looking for. I'm not wearing the right jersey, but I have a jacket that has the same logo. Looks better in color, I think, but I do like the the laser engraved leather looking patch on the hat. Honda Mig says police have been promoting take it to the track, but last summer OPP were sitting outside the track pulling people over, and it caused a big thing in the car community. I think somebody talked about this. It may have been you previously, and I will tell you that I get it and I don't get it. So, take it to the track. Yeah, if you want to go fast, take it to the track. But that's talking about street legal vehicles if you're driving it there. If it's a trailer queen and you trailer it to the track, then that's legit. But if it's not street legal, because the only way that the people who were being checked as they were pulling into the track, the only reason that they would be given a problem is if those vehicles should never have been on the road in the first place. If you own a race car that's not street legal, you trailer it to the track. So it says here, Honda Mig says it caused a lot of people to stay away from the tracks because they were scared. What is your opinion on this? So again, I believe that if you have a street legal car that you can take to the track, you should do that. You should drive it to the track and take it to the track, and that's where you get to learn about the limits of your vehicle, take it a little faster, really enjoy and have fun. However, if your vehicle is unsafe for the road, not legal to be on the road, well, then you trailer it there, and that's it. Is it them entrapping people? No one made you put that vehicle on the road, so I don't have a problem with it. So the question is, are these for sale? And Kevin says you should start selling merchandise. So I can make these. I've been talking about selling them. I've got a bunch of these hats and a bunch of these patches that if I connect them together, I could make some hats for sale. Maybe I'll put together a store and make them available. It would definitely be a great way of funding the channel. He would like one in black. Well, I will put up some variations. We'll mock some up and see. Peter John William joined, and welcome, sir. Welcome. And I got your message. I don't remember if I responded to it, but I certainly showed my wife your message. Do you mind if I share your story? Let me know, Peter, if I can share the story. Well, actually, you were talking about coming onto the show, so yeah, let me know if you're okay with me talking about it, and I'll mention it in the show right now. Kevin Samantha says, I have a garage queen. Does that mean it's in the garage because it doesn't work? Never leaves the garage, it doesn't run? Or what exactly do you mean? That was a noisy water experience. Okay, I will share. And Malachi, I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, or Malachi, says, asks if turbos are allowed on street legal vehicles. And I mean, my truck has a twin turbo. So turbos are absolutely permitted on street vehicles. They improve performance, and I would say the majority of new cars, especially in the Fords, they're almost all turbos of something, like very small displacement with turbos to boost the output, and it seems to be a trend now. I like naturally aspirated engines, and I like the fact that they have less of a failure rate than those that have turbos, but they're perfectly legal now. If they're dumping turbo dumping into the air, they're not going through the filtration exhaust system. Those could be different issues that could make them illegal, but if they meet the standard, they meet the standard. Now, the story I wanted to share with about Peter is that Peter was a military police officer who transitioned to policing in a municipality. We won't share which one, but he credits the show and the channel to helping him ace his exams for Highway Traffic Act when he was going to OPC to do, I guess, the patch over training from the MP status to police constable in the province of Ontario, because there's different education there. So we get to say that we helped out and got him, so I think he said destroyed the test, which is awesome. I'm very happy to hear that. And then we were talking about possibly having Peter on the show, or he offered, and I may or may not have responded with hell yes, but yeah, we have to have him on the show. Absolutely. We'll get you in for an After Dark and then go from there. After Dark being the Tuesday and Thursday show. By the way, if you're just tuning in, you don't know who I am. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And I do that every day. And I mean that because it doesn't matter if I'm alone, I'm somehow incorporating traffic discussions into the whether I'm writing for a blog or I do a lot of stuff. I keep very busy. This whole leaving the police service, I have taken on more to do, not less. Okay. You want, so not only is it hats, it's t-shirts too. Apparently I need to start looking into. Well, I'll talk to my buddy at FM Promotions and see what we can come up with. Riz Vision says, this is going to be the judgment-free live chat. What movies have you watched that made you cry? Hard cry, can't catch your breath, Water and booger works galore. That's a Riz Vision. He's on Instagram today. He's a multi-platform chat guy. Riz Vision wants to know this, and you know what? I'll tell you, Disney's really good at making the tears flow, cleaning the eyeballs with emotional stuff and things. And I don't know if it's the whole movie, but there's a scene where Moana loses the grandma, right? And anytime there's a mom or a grandma that leaves the planet in a movie, that gets me in the feels. I lost my mother and my grandmother, and those always get me. So, but I don't know about heart. Oh! I think it was what was it called? The something the wild robot. Oh God, I was with my kids. I would cry my eyes out. Yeah, that was ugly crying at its best. I'm telling you, cartoons do it. I can watch all sorts of stuff, and I don't have the same emotional thing as the cartoons get me. I think they come out of left field. I'm not expecting it. Let's see here. Is rolling coal legal, or is it two-step legal? Is rolling coal legal? So the deal is that's a situation where you're messing with the exhaust system of a diesel vehicle, and it's not. You're dumping huge amounts of crap into the air. You're bypassing, I think, the chemical that keeps the bad stuff from coming. I don't know. I'm not a diesel mechanic, but I know it's not legal. So don't mess with that, because now I think it's a $600 ticket under the Highway Traffic Act. It used to be more under the Environmental Protection Act, but now it falls under HTA. Okay. Kevin says, oh, okay. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. So Matthew Robert wants to know if they think that they'll implement a mandatory inspection to get the unsafe ones off the road. So I believe strongly that regular inspection of vehicles to ensure that they're safe for the road is a really good idea. You know, only when you sell a vehicle does not mean that the vehicle is safe for the road. Now, obviously, police officers making inspections, they can do that at any time if they see something that's wrong. But why not just make it a regular thing? You get a tune-up, you get a check. You know, maybe that's needed, or maybe 5 years or 10 years, something to check it out, because we have vehicles that are held together by duct tape and should not be on the road. But it only really gets caught when you're transferring the vehicle during a collision or a random inspection. Now, if a mechanic sees that a vehicle is unsafe, they can certainly suggest that it shouldn't go back on the road. But there's no real mechanism for catching that right now. They could call police, they could not process, but it gets messy. There should be some very clear rules and regs as to how to deal with that. I think we should have regular tests for drivers too. I don't think you should just get your license when you're 16 and then get tested when you're 80. I think you should have some checks in the middle to make sure that you're still up on it. And no different than someone like in policing who has to have regular use of force qualifications to continue carrying a weapon or to go out on the road and perform arrests, because we know you know the rules and we know you know what the current changes are. I think that the regular testing, whether it be as involved as a G1, G2 experience, well, G1 is not terribly difficult, but something that shows practical and academic sides of it would be useful. It would certainly keep people in line, I think. And in line is not a bad thing. Keeping people honest and safe, just reminding people what the rules are. Hey, you could just watch my YouTube video where I read the Ontario Driver's Handbook on a regular basis. That would probably do wonders for a whole bunch of people. Let's see here. Riz Vision says, on Mother's Day a few years ago, I took my mom to see the re-release in theaters of one of her favorite movies, E.T. By the time the movie ended, I was crying so hard I had 2 cup holders full. Tissues in my tissues. I thought he had tears in the cup holders. I thought it was odd, but I wasn't going to call him out for it. So he said 2 cup holders full of tissues, and my mom leaned over to me and said, "Don't ever invite me to the movies again." And that's how I knew my crying was embarrassing her. You know what? Crying is nothing to be ashamed of. Getting a hit in the feels, especially with something as emotional as E.T. I mean, he wanted to phone home. Is it so wrong? Those were epic movies of my childhood, but I don't remember crying. Maybe I cried when I was a kid. My kid brother had a stuffed E.T. Yes, I'm outing my brother for having a stuffed animal as a kid, but it's normal. It's normal, I say. Okay. Kevin says, oh, So first he says, I will support my bro. Just go on Vistaprint. I can share my coupon code. Kevin says, no, the Corvette runs and drives, but when it's cold or bad weather, I don't drive it much. So, of course, you've told me about your Corvette before, but I don't recall what year it is. I'm a big fan of Corvettes. I'm less of a fan of the new Corvettes for only one reason. I don't really fit into them anymore. Corvettes, for the longest time, were a big guy's sports car, and I fit in them beautifully, and they were just made for me. And as they got more modern, and the trend got to be these Ferrari-like itty-bitty cars, and I've got pictures. I'll have to put them up again on my Instagram. But I did a lap at Honda Indy with Kerry Schmidt from the OPP, and both of our heads were sticking out above the windshield line. Not safe. Technically, I think we should have had helmets on. Not safe. But alas, that ain't no biggie. Okay. If you're watching and you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro, former police officer talking about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. Please follow, like, share, and you can do that everywhere. If you're new to driving and you want to help out or get help, I should say, reading the driver's handbook, I have a playlist on my YouTube channel, VoiceOver Cop, where you can actually follow along as I read it to you with commentary as needed. But the goal is to help you not only pass a basic G1 test, which is really 20 signs and 20 rules of the road, 40 questions in total, not the toughest stuff, but a lot of people have difficulty with it. Also know that I am going to be re-recording it. Is it re-recording it? I'm taking the script that I create by just reading it and having impromptu conversation, and then turning that into a script that I can feed into AI and have it translated into a number of other languages to try and help as many people as possible. So if you know somebody who's having difficulty, whether it be in English or other, let them know to check out the channel, subscribe there, and more help is on the way. Now, what was this comment? The comment was something about food. Where did it go? Here we go. Sean likes food like I do. Yes, I'm a big fan of food. I don't know if I can claim that I'm a foodie. Like, I don't need the shishi food. I just need steak and wings, ribs, food, real food. Occasional green leafy stuff, but occasional. But I do like food, and I've been now 23 days without carbs, so I'm dropping weight. It's great. I feel fantastic. It's amazing how food impacts how you feel, and what I was feeling was crappy. And I wasn't eating horribly. I just was eating breads, and breads don't do well for me. I don't know if I have an allergy or somehow reject them. However, I'm no longer doing that. It made a huge difference in the way I feel. Very, very happy about it. So I was talking to my dad, who hates my beard. He does not like it. And again, this is an experimental post-policing beard, and I might at some point shave it. But I figure what I'll do is I'll wait until I drop a ton of weight. And then when I shave it off, I'll be a different looking person altogether. It'll be a big reveal. I don't know. We're coming up with ideas. But in the meantime, I'm learning about beard maintenance on a whole new level. Okay. Johan Nora says, my sister-in-law also works for the RCMP. Awesome. Oh, sorry. Johan Nora says, DDE F1 race car. Daily Driven Exotics has an F1 race car. I did not know that. I do follow their channel. I do like their stuff. I don't agree with everything they do, because very often they get stopped doing stupid stuff and then, challenge police. And, I don't know. I like their stuff. I like the guys. I don't like the breaking of laws. I did find very interesting when they were driving in Florida and some tool came out and smashed their windshield. I don't know if you follow along, but that was a story that I don't even know if it's finished. I'd like to know what happened in that case. What do we have here? So first of all, I need to know, is it Malachi or Malachi? I need to know what your username pronunciation is, because it's bugging me. How high of a lift kit is legal? I believe that 3 inches in a body lift is the maximum. There's possible for a suspension lift if it's done properly with OEM parts or an approved kit. But I don't know if there's a specific number just for lift. There is a maximum height from the center of your headlights to the ground, both height, minimum and maximum that you can be. And that's in the light truck and passenger vehicle inspection guide, which is what the HTA references when it comes to whether or not a vehicle is safe. So you can look at that. It's available. I have a link to it at trafficcop.ca. If you go to the bottom, useful links, it should be there. I've been messing around with that, so if it's not there, let me know. You can also email me by just hitting that second button down on the link tree. It'll send me a message by email, and that's how you can get a hold of me. So if you do have questions, if you do want to reach out to me, or you want to, if it's too long and involved a question for the chat, feel free to use that. You can go on the website, and you can also go to askatrafficop.ca. They both point to the same link tree. Whatever makes you remember it better, easier. That's the goal. If you remember it, you use it. Okay. Jan says the movie Titanic made me cry. Yeah, I can totally see that. I haven't seen the movie in a long time, but it was tragic. So many people died in that movie. Well, in the real story that the movie's about. If you haven't seen Titanic, I mean, who hasn't seen Titanic? You had to have seen it. Everyone has to have seen it. How to join as a newbie. That's user 87798. I don't know what you want to join. If you're joining here as a question and answer video participant, you're already in it. You can follow the channel, and when we go live, make sure you get the bell notified so it actually tells you when we go live. So many times I find people not knowing that we're live because they added the functionality of getting alerted as an option. So if you want to be notified on TikTok, make sure you got the bell icon selected. On YouTube, it's the same thing primarily because you can ask for customized notifications or notified. So make sure your notifications are on. It really helps it out in terms of actually telling you when we're doing stuff and notifying you of new videos. And if you're on TikTok, please tap the screen until your fingers go numb. It really helps bring more people to the party so they know what's going on, so they know that it's a valuable video live stream thing. And if you've got questions about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, ask away. That's what I'm here for. I do this 5 days a week now, Monday through Friday. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, it's 10 a.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's 9 p.m. I was going to say 7 p.m., but that's where it is in Alberta. The time in Alberta that Logan Grant, who is a PO sergeant, he's a peace officer sergeant in Brooks, Alberta, and he does traffic enforcement there as a peace officer. He's not a police officer, he's a peace officer. So they have different rules and regs there, and they have different types of enforcement models compared to Ontario. It's always very interesting to talk to him because he is a learned individual when it comes to traffic enforcement, and also he has a slightly different perspective. Like I'm shocked that he does traffic enforcement without a firearm. I wouldn't do that. He does that. He's a brave man. We've got... Oh, here, my buddy's truck used to blow lots of smoke out of the exhaust. Not a big fan of it. So, I'm not a big fan of it either. I used to have an F-150 that if I hammered down on the gas, it had such delay, such turbo lag, and then it would dump out just plumes of smoke. And I think it was an issue with the way it was tuned. It should not have been doing that. I did not like my 2013. That's the one that was the turbo. And then I got a 15, and the 15 was naturally aspirated. I loved that. It had a nicer exhaust note. And now my current vehicle is a turbo, but they've resolved the turbo lag issue. I don't have a problem with it. I like it. I like it a lot. What is the ideal beginner vehicle for a new driver? That is such a different, I don't know how I can answer that. It depends on the vehicle. First of all, I would suggest one that you can afford because the best vehicle on the road is one you own outright and don't owe on. Also, if you're a new driver, you might get bumps and dings. So I don't think there's a reason to buy brand new, especially for a new driver. I don't know if there's a reason to buy brand new for anyone because you can get such great deals. I was talking to a buddy of mine yesterday, and he bought a vehicle that had been driven for 80,000 kilometers. It had it was in beautiful condition. It was made by Hyundai, but it's a luxury vehicle for which the name does not come to mind. And it was it was designed to be a limo. It's a beautiful car that he paid like under $10,000 for. I don't want to tell the actual price, but what a great deal he got. And it's beautiful, like brand new condition. Didn't get driven in the winter. Like you can get deals like you don't have to spend a lot of money to get a good vehicle. But if you get one that you can that if it gets bumped you won't cry or have to spend money to repair, and it's still a safe vehicle, that's what I would do. Safety and economically sound. So and that you fit in comfortably and that meets the needs that you have for transporting whatever gear and people that are important to you. Car or truck. So such a mixed bag. I need a truck. I'm 6'5" and 300 pounds, and I need a big vehicle to fit in because I am a big, tall person. I can't do the Honda Civic economical vehicle because I can't fit inside of it. It's like a clown car for me. It is a difficulty, and I don't know who's calling me, so I'm going to ignore that call. Excuse me as I say no. Yeah, any number that comes through that doesn't have call display that's in my phone book, I don't answer. So I don't know why they try. They just keep trying to call me. All right. Reminds me I have something to do. That's probably not them calling me, but I have something to do today. Yes. Cool. Big note on my page. All right, cool. But car or truck, for me, it's always truck. I stopped buying cars many, many years ago. Jess says, you can drive a bigger vehicle, but not all can drive smaller vehicles. Yes. This is true. And that's my situation. He's doing driver's ed for a second time. So are you doing driver's ed for a second time because you didn't pass or because you just want more training, which is totally reasonable and respectable? I think that's fantastic. But let me know why. What areas are you having problems with? Maybe we can talk about it and help you out. I see that we've missed a bunch of stuff here on the other side. Peter John Williams says New Brunswick has safety inspections and it has its pros and cons. This is the regular ones. It keeps people honest with their vehicles, but shady mechanics can push unnecessary repairs for profit. That is an aspect that I hadn't considered. And the way to do that, I think, the way to prevent that is like when we had drive test, you have to have, well, so that doesn't work because drive test centers were the corporate ones that were done, but there were also mechanics who were drive test certified. Drive test, for anyone who has no idea what this is, you have to do regular emissions testing, and if you failed, you had to fix it or you didn't renew your license plates. Now they got rid of that, which is, I don't know, good or bad, I'm not sure, because people just put dumb stuff, chemicals into their gasoline and tried to beat it, and it became a game of cheat and steal and try and get through it rather than honestly maintaining the vehicle. So things have really fallen apart since that, like worse since the program disappeared. But if you can't trust the average mechanic, then you need to make it maybe a police facility or a government facility that runs it that doesn't have a vested interest in whether or not you pass or fail. You pass or fail, and it means nothing to them. And maybe that's the way to do it. Because as soon as you tie it into an opportunity to make money, then you have people who are willing to cheat, lie, and steal, which sucks. It's sad that that's the world we live in, but it is the world we live in. Rizvision follows on the call about crying movie. He says, I took my wife to see Inside Out, and when I started crying, someone behind me yelled, "Yo, is that fool crying?" I'll never go see another Pixar movie again in theaters. Pixar is definitely a tearjerker. I'm telling you, it's the cartoons that get you. The real life stuff, you go, I relate to you, but your cutesy wootsy cartoon, gets me in the feels. Okay. What's worse, pulling someone over who is and smells drunk but tries to hide it, or a drunk driver with an open bottle of liquor in his cup holder? What's better, or which worse? There's no better. They're both terrible, because they're both drunk, right? Obviously, there's great evidence to add additional charges for the open bottle, and it makes it easier to identify as to the source and gets you out of the whole concept of, is it a medical, or to me, it's irrelevant. If you are an impaired driver, I don't think there's a better. They're both illegal. They're both going to wind you up getting arrested and ruin your life. But the one good thing is if you get pulled over before you hurt someone, you did get saved, and you saved somebody else, or the police saved somebody else. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, we covered up that. Let's go on here. So I want to know more about this driver's ed thing. And greetings and salutations from Akela Draconis, who says, sorry, I'm late. I had to chase my dog out of the basement. I had to chase the dog out of the basement. I see. Interesting. So this is talking about service dogs. I don't know if yours is a service dog, but apparently when his glucose is low, it makes him anxious. So your meter was lower, your actual blood was low, and he senses it, or he just doesn't like the sound on the meter. I'm curious, because when I lived in Florida, there was a guy in the building who had a service dog, and I'm like, what do you mean? He says the dog can smell when he needs to take his medication before he has a seizure, and the dog alerts him to take the medication because of his blood or breath or whatever it is that the dog smells like. I've heard that people, that dogs, I should say, can smell cancer and diagnose people, which is remarkable. I know not of these things, but these are the things I've been told, and they amaze me. If you're watching and you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And I go live a whole lot, like 5 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m., and then Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 p.m. to give people a whole spectrum. That's not really a whole spectrum. It's just two options, 10 a.m. or 9 p.m. That's it. And the 9 p.m. ones tend to be a lot of fun with guests and talks that last forever. Although I've been known to go very long on discussions during the day, I've been better at sticking to about an hour at the daylight when I'm alone. But when I've got someone on the camera with me right here on screen, those go to 2 hours real quick. Okay. Bruv says, following up on your comment about drivers not just being tested at 16, would you agree that, where's the, okay, so following up, he says, would you agree that police officers should also have to be fit, not just on the first day of testing, but afterwards? So it's a complicated way to answer, and how do I make this nice? Some police services do that. Certainly, local police services and Canadian police services do encourage police officers to maintain fitness levels. There's something for annual fitness testing, but I think I don't know for certain, but I think it's employment law that says they can't be fired for not making a fitness statement or measure. I don't know, but I think it's based on rights and stuff. But does a police officer have to be able to bench press 300 pounds to be a good cop? I can tell you that the majority of the good work I did was because I was using the brain and the mouth in terms of talking more than anything else. Yeah, I had to arrest people, and I was physically capable of doing that. But what if somebody can't bench press what I can bench press? What if someone is physically, less, or they're chubby but they're really strong, or they're skinny but they're really weak? Like, fitness standards are difficult to judge one's ability to be an effective police officer. Granted, if you're unhealthy, that's different. Like if you can't move, you can't get up a flight of stairs. Well, here's the thing. I got into a motorcycle collision, and then I wasn't able to go back on the road because I wasn't able to perform at the same level. And because of that, I was a liability. I couldn't be let on the road as a police officer in uniform carrying a firearm, because if I can't, if I can't protect myself, or it's not that I couldn't, but if the belief was, if you're injured and you're not 100%, you can't go out on the road to be able to take care of yourself and perform the duties of a police officer. So there are standards. How closely are they enforced is a different question. But for me, once you go into a medical side of it, like you're stuck there for a bit, and I was still stuck there when I left. Kevin Samantha says, I see a lot of vehicles with duct tape on them. Not quack, but duct with a T. Although duct tape would work too. Is it duct tape? Is there any? It's for ducting, right? Anyway, we got Haley with questions. Well, how much is the reinstatement fee? Yes, I believe it is $280, and I think there's tax on top of that, so it goes pretty high. Let me scroll back. Malaki. Okay. Malaki. Got it. Now, thank you for helping with the pronunciation. Kevin says, Ribfest. I like Ribfest. And Kevin sent more gifts. Thank you very much. So gifts by no means are a requirement to be here, but they're always appreciated. Buying me a coffee isn't a bad way to go. I don't get paid for this. I do this because I want to help. And this is part of a not-for-profit organization, which I created since leaving the police service. And it's primarily funded by me and Diamond and Barrett Legal. And it's not, we're not making millions here, but we are trying to help make the roads safer for everybody. What do we got here? Is there any HTA regarding a child riding in the front seat of a vehicle? Jared wants to know. Jared, I just posted a video a couple days ago about this. There is no HTA about a child riding in the front seat of a vehicle. I mean, granted, if they have to be in a child safety restraint, a child seat booster, they are legally required to be in one of those. And there is a regulation that talks about putting a child in the front seat if at a certain age, I think we're up to toddler age, 80 pounds, 8 years old, 80 pounds. There is a specification there, and I think it was specifically weight, under 80 pounds. Anyway, it talks about being in a seating position at the front, or not putting them there if they're not at the age where you can sustain a hit from an airbag, because airbags are dangerous unless you can turn off that airbag. Well, modern vehicles have automatic switches that if under 80 pounds is registered on the seat, it's going to change the deployment rate of an airbag or disable it. So legally, there's nothing wrong with having a child in the front as long as they're in the appropriate seat. Now, that's legally. Safety-wise, The pros say backseat is best until 14 years of age, which of course is not something that is popular amongst children who want to be up front. Now, do I let my kids sit in the front seat? Sometimes. They don't need seatbelts anymore. They don't need child safety restraints anymore. So I have had my kids in the front seat, but it tends to be that they're in the back seat, especially in a highway situation. But if I'm just going to the mailbox, yeah, I'm okay with it. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Duct tape. That's what Kevin says. It's duct tape, not duct tape. Interesting. I actually now question reality. Haley says, hi. Hello, back at you. Malachi says, are decals legal on windows? Depends on which window. If it's on the windshield, I would argue that anywhere that the windshield wipers wipe is an area that the manufacturer determined has to be clear for you to see through. Thus, that is the required area for clear viewing. And if you were to block that, you'd be eligible for a ticket for obstruct the driver's view. And that wouldn't be fun. What do we have here? Thank you to Malachi, Haley, and Andrea for both sharing the live and following. I just got to the point where I see that you did that. Thank you much. Okay, Haley says, they sent a notice a month ago saying that you may stop my license if I don't pay, and I forgot. I would get on that. Oh, so your license. So if they haven't notified you that your license is suspended, telling you that they might suspend it isn't the same thing. I would go in today. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200. Just go right there and go renew it. The problem is if you don't, you will get suspended, and then you driving and maybe take an Uber there in case you're already suspended. You don't want to get charged for driving without a license. Not only is it a $360 fine, if you were to get into a collision, you would not be covered by your insurance policy. Bad things would happen. So don't do that. Okay. But I would just go in and do it. If it's simply paying for a renewal, just get it done. Go in there in person, make it happen. But generally speaking, you're going to get notified by mail if you're suspended. And if you get pulled over, you're going to get notified in person by a police officer. They're going to charge you for driving suspended and also notify you. And in certain situations, you would get your vehicle not in a good place. Okay. Logan's Run 2025 says, do you provide interview advice for potential future cops? I have given advice when asked, but I will tell you that the best people to talk to about preparations are the recruiters. They're going to help you get through the process. While I talk about recruiting all the time, and I will give advice if asked, it may not be as relevant as it was when I went through. In fact, I just had a conversation on Instagram this morning with a young lady who's going to the Edmonton Police. I don't know their testing policies and procedures, but I can talk about generalities and things. I can't tell you, say this when they say that. I can't do, I won't do. But I can give you ideas of how to best frame questions and discuss things. And just based on my personal experience, by no means am I a recruiting professional. I just know stuff and things and happy to share that knowledge. Okay. What do I want to do? Since we're talking about recruiting, I am going to throw some recruiting up on the screen and talking about my favorite police service, the Toronto Police Service. Not that I have anything wrong or bad to say about any other police service, but I happen to, have had a nearly 25-year relationship with the Toronto Police Service, and they have done well for me. And why can't I see this page? Where is it? Why isn't it showing up? Oh, because I'm on the wrong. I asked for a Chrome tab, and then I put it on a different website. Stand by. We'll copy that. We'll close this. I'll actually go into the Chrome application. So much better. Oh, that's a RizViz. Okay, hold on a second. TPS. And look at that. It comes right up. Here we go. Boom. The Toronto Police Careers page, tps.ca/careers, will give you information about all the different jobs that are available. Police Constable has its own specific location, and that's where you can get all the background information as to what you need to know and do. Now, if you don't think you want to serve as a police constable, there's also parking enforcement officers that are currently being hired, special constables, or how I started as a paid member. Communications operators do amazing work answering the call for service. When you call 911, that's who's answering. and they have the other side of the house, which dispatches police officers. If you're looking to volunteer, then the auxiliary officer program, which is the actual first way that I entered working with the Toronto Police Service in the year 2000, that's when I started as both an auxiliary and special constable. And there's other ways to serve. If you go to civilian roles, they closed parking and the other ones. But so this changes all the time. Go to this website on a regular basis if you're interested in getting a job with an amazing organization like the Toronto Police. So intermediate technical analyst and repair services. It's in the infrastructure radio section. So obviously that's something you got to know about. If you click on these, they give you all the details of what you need to know about that particular position you might be applying for. So read them. Don't just willy-nilly apply for stuff. But check back regularly. There are great opportunities here. And, Toronto is a great place to work and get experience and have a life. And it's just good stuff all around. Good people. Okay. What I just do? Oh, it's two. That's what the window's still open. Look at that. Close. Okay. We have Ricky, who says, I barely see cops doing speed radar anymore. What is going on? Roads are becoming incredibly dangerous with the high speeds, especially on steels. Ricky, you are absolutely right. There's not enough police to go around. And police officers dedicating time to enforcement is a proactive detail where you're actually going out, finding people violating, and then laying charges. Now, it's not difficult to find people breaking the law because they're breaking the law everywhere, but there is a difficulty to find free time to do that proactive police work, and that's because police services are understaffed. We don't have enough police to service the calls. Our cop-to-pop ratio is the lowest, I think, in North America, like the number of police officers per member of the public. To population, cop to pop. So if we don't have enough to serve the regular calls, because there are so many, like a police officer signs up, signs on, parades for duty, gets into their car after getting all their equipment, punches the sign and stuff on. There are calls impending. People who are waiting for a response from police for any number of different types of calls, whether it be collisions and in our situation in Toronto, we have a dedicated traffic safety and traffic unit that handle collision investigations. But we also have a dedicated team of officers that are strictly enforcement, and they're looking to be in the highest risk areas where the highest risk to public safety based on driving behavior exists. So where the highest speeds are, where the most collisions are, that's where they're going to focus their efforts. But they're all over the city. And that's the Vision Zero enforcement team, because Vision Zero targets specifically the big four. We're talking about speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, impaired driving. That's what they're looking for. And they are intelligence-led. They're getting their information based on the analytics that are being provided by the analytics department that studies, or analysts in the, I forgot what the actual units, AIEIO moniker is. But they can only do what they can do, because once they pull over somebody, they're stuck with that someone until they can release them with the ticket and move on to the next person. So there's tons of people violating. And the only answer is hire more police officers or add automated enforcement on all roads, which not everybody's interested in having. Certainly not the people in Alberta, in Lethbridge, where apparently they were making millions of dollars off of photo radar. And apparently the cash cow is over, which I think is wrong. I think if people are breaking the law and getting caught, then that's exactly what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to charge them money. And then I was on a radio show recently talking about whether or not we should have fines based on our salary, because a hockey player got a $50,000 fine. That was a U.S. fine, I think, which is pushing upwards of $75,000 here. That would definitely change driving behavior, wouldn't it? If you well, mind you, this was a hockey player who had plenty of money to go, which is how it got to such a big number. But if your ticket was based on your salary, would that hurt you more or less? It has to be equivalent. So the guy makes $10 an hour. I guess nobody in Canada makes $10 an hour based on minimum wage, but let's say we make $20 an hour versus a guy who makes $50 or $100 an hour. Should that ticket be expanded for the guy who makes more? Yeah, I think it should, because then the impact will be greater. And we have the lowest fines in Canada for speeding. The lowest per kilometer fine, because it is calculated based on the speed that you are doing. Let's see here. And Peter John Williams says very correctly, I think the same thing that I was just saying. Number of officers on the road, a number of calls per day is a big factor. We need more police. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Riz Vision says, they say you know you're in a bad part of town when you see Coffee Time. Coffee Times aren't a popular brand anymore, are they? Now I'm going to start questioning if I see them. Ooh, I wonder if that's an indicator of anything. Chell says, if a car's back seat is full and I have 4 kids, can one of them sit in the front seat with a booster? Yes, legally, but is it safe? No, it's not safe to be in the front. It's safe to be in the back until they're 14. And I appreciate having lots of kids, and you can do it. It's just not the safest. So, how much is the risk? Why don't you put some of the stuff that's in the back in the front seat instead of the back seat? And then you put your children in a safe place. Jess says, Haley, it would be go and pay your ticket, and then pay a restatement. Yes, gotcha. Okay, we're talking about Haley, who has the potential of a license suspension. What do we have? Malachi. My father wants me to get a truck for my first vehicle. And I imagine that your father wants you to get a truck because of the safety benefits to you. It is a big truck will potentially give you a better field of view and looking at everybody else. I certainly feel safer being above everybody else. And I can tell you from a collision perspective, the trucks tend to if it's a proper truck, fare very well in collisions because, when in a collision with a car, the car, strikes lower, which has less, tends to be less of an issue to the driver in the truck. So people believe that trucks like tanks are safer for the occupants, and they are, but they're not safer for pedestrians if you hit them. So there's a lot of controversy there. Pedestrian groups don't want anyone to drive trucks because why do you need trucks? And I like trucks. So, but I don't disagree with your father. You'll pay more in gas, but if it's a proper truck, you'll likely be safer. Read up on crash testing and look at the vehicles individually because there are some trucks that were crap for both safety and everything else. And Kevin Samantha, it was the Equus. That's what I was talking about earlier. My buddy bought an Equus, which I didn't know the name of until he showed it to me. And yes, Harris is a tall dude, and he's taller than me. He makes me feel like a tiny dude. Okay. We got talk about ductwork. Malachi says, more training and my G1 expired. I did renew my G1 again. I passed before, just didn't go for G2. And it's, doing your G2, G1 test again is no big deal. But yeah, good for you for doing it again, and good for you for investing in yourself in terms of your ability to get more driver training. It's that driver training that is so valuable. Just checking our time. We're approaching the hour. Logan Grant says, morning, sir. Never a dull never a dull moment. No, there is. He's calling out Riz Vision as never a dull moment. He said, and he was responding to Riz Vision, who said, they say if you want to see how underfunded your police service is, call 911 for police and then call Pizza Hut for pizza. And if the pizza shows up first, that's how you know your police are underfunded. Interesting concept. I would say that's a possible criminal charge coming your way. So maybe don't do that as a test, but I imagine it would have interesting results. Okay. McLovin, welcome back, says, if I buy a car off Marketplace, how can I get it home? If the vehicle is safe for the road, if it's a certified vehicle with a safety certificate, and you have plates from a previously insured and plated vehicle, like you have, if you have insurance for that vehicle, because you can't just say, I'm going to insure it on Monday. You have to actually call your insurance company, put the insurance on before you can roll that vehicle on the road. You can take the license plates from your previously owned vehicle that is no longer attached to any vehicle, and you can put it on that vehicle to drive it home. So here's the conditions again. You must have the insurance company place an active policy on that vehicle. You must have license plates that are not affiliated with any other vehicle. So the vehicle you had but sold, you still have the plates in your possession and they're valid and registered. Then you can take those plates and put them on the newly purchased and insured vehicle for up to 6 days to get it home or to the mechanics, depending on what you're doing. But it has to be safe for the road. So it had to have been plated by them. It had to have been on the road as a safe vehicle. Otherwise, you need to trailer it. And Malachi says, trailer it. But there are ways to do it. And Kevin also says tow truck. But Oh, yeah. Now they're into the deep dive of what about tow trucks? What kind of tow truck? How many tow trucks? Malachi, thank you for the gifts. I appreciate you. What do we have here? Garage plates, the mechanic can bring you lots of ideas being shared here. CAA. Bruv says, just wonder why it's mandatory one day and not the next. Which one mandatory? Which one are we talking about, bruv? Gilly Guthrow shared the live. Thank you very much. And Queen of Queen something that I can't. Oh, of Queen Nitrous shared the live. Thank you very much. Okay. Yes, if you're not already following, please do. And if you don't follow me on YouTube, please follow me there at VoiceOver Cop. I've got links in the I've got links everywhere. If you go to trafficcop.ca, you can get links. And if you know people who want to get their license that need help reading this magical book that is not so fun to read all the time, tell them to go there. I've got a playlist that currently has 2 videos, one of which is actually reading chapter 1, but I will be reading the entire book, page after page after page, to help you ingest that information and share with whatever knowledge I can to make it easier, better, and more wonderful for you. Okay. Logan's Run wants to know why some municipalities not allow right-hand turns on reds on some intersections. It's for safety. In fact, there's been a discussion as to whether or not we should have right turns on reds at all, because where do pedestrians go, and what risk to pedestrians is there when we have people trying to cross the road and turn at the same time, and we have aggressive drivers. So if you look at the island of Montreal, it is an island. They have no right turns on reds there, and the rest of Quebec does. So they can certainly change the rules based on the intersection, based on risk, based on quantity or regular traffic or foot traffic of pedestrians. They do it for safety. That's the real reason. Hope that helps. If you got more questions, feel free to ask. Jess says, do you have to do police foundations to get into policing? Would experience in other fields, EMS, etc., be equivalent enough to get into it? So, Jess, you don't have to have a background in policing to get into policing. You don't have to be a security guard. You don't have to take a justice studies program. Whatever life experience you have may, in fact, be enough. In fact, it may be better than what you would have if you went to that course. So I had an experience. I had been a real estate agent. I'd been in business. I'd been all sorts of things. And then I got into policing without any kind of program. In fact, when I applied for the Police Foundations program, for one reason or another, I didn't get in at the time. So I didn't take it. And then I went off and did a million other things, and I came in to policing, and it was a great fit. Very often people go to the Police Foundations to get a version of education that is similar to that of what we're going to teach you when you get hired. So why do the same thing twice? Get a different type of education, in your case, EMS, fantastic. Come in with that. Bring that to the table. I think it's fantastic. Okay. If you have questions, Jess, feel free to reach out. Pepe LeFew says, in BC, POS pulling, dangerous driving, not alone, excessive speeding, and almost all nil. I had a guy tailgating me while I was next to a cop. I had to roll down my window to ask her to pull him over. Really? They just didn't notice? Wow, interesting. Yeah. You know what? They can't see what's behind them very often, but good for you for standing up for yourself. Advocation for oneself is important. Riz Vision is defending his concept of calling for pizza and the police at the same time, but he says for science. It's an investigation for science. No judge convicted anyone if it's in the name of science. I think you would get arrested. Let's see here. Okay, we have tariffs on vehicles, question mark, from Malachi. I don't know what you want to know. It's like they're talking about tariffing vehicles that aren't manufactured in the States, when they realize that 50% of each vehicle is partially manufactured outside of the States. There really are very few American cars. I think Ben Shapiro was talking about the fact that the only truly American made cars are Tesla and Rivian. Yeah, everything else has like 50% of the car made elsewhere. And I think he said that the worst or the most heavily impacted was going to be Volvo. I think that's what he said. Okay. Would a truck pass would a truck pass a G2 driving test? The truck isn't driving, so they wouldn't be tested. But you can drive a truck in a G2 test. Yes, SUVs, 18-wheelers, no. But we're talking about different tests. Brianne says, if I were to see a potential impaired driver, is it better to call 911 or the non-emergency line? If you believe it's an impaired operator, if you believe that the person behind the wheel is under the influence of drugs or alcohol and putting lives at risk, which is what an impaired driver is doing, then it's a 911 call. It is absolutely an emergency. And then take direction from the dispatcher. They're going to tell you exactly what they want to do. They might say, give me the license plate description. What is it doing? Why do you think they're impaired? Is it that they can't hold a straight line? They're going for, over one curve and hitting the other one. What are they doing that makes you believe they're impaired? And then they're going to say, stop following. It's not safe. Last known direction. They're going to call a police officer on the road. They're going to dispatch them, and you will go about your day without getting hurt, because the problem is you following them could have you involved in something, and we don't want you getting hurt. So they will likely take the address from the registered owner, figure out where they're going, and try and head them off at the pass. And very often that's exactly what happens. Alia says, when the police run your plates in traffic and pull you over, can they see your driver's license photo? It's not a direct, so yes, they can, but it's not as simple as every driver's license photo pops up when they look at your license plate. There is a process, but it is, there is definitely a process. Oh, somebody's a lovely individual. I think they've already been back. Oh, no, they haven't been. Let's just do a quick little thing here. We'll report them because they're idiots and they're racist. Hate speech, I think that qualifies. Okay, we'll report them for that. And we're not going to follow them, but we are going to wait. We'll do 3 reports, because why do 1 report when you can do 3? Okay, we'll do this one too. Stand by. I just know very rarely do I spend time to have a takeaway of the. There we go. Maybe we'll do one for. We did that for this. Oh, that we have a 3rd comment. I mean, is it really hate? It's just harassment, I think. So we'll go report, and we'll have harassment. And yes, and it was me who's being harassed. I'm not offended so much as he's an idiot or they're an idiot. And then we'll just go ahead and block the account. There we go. Confirm. It's amazing that people are so full of hate that they got to come onto TikTok and share it with the world. But that's okay. I'll just do a little screen capture so I can send it over to the wonderful people at TikTok headquarters. They're magical folks who don't take kindly to that kind of stuff. Okay, moving on. But yeah, I'm always shocked at the level of hatred that people spew and then don't realize that they can actually get banned from the platform for it. Not just, getting a warning that you don't do that again. They can actually make it so that you have to buy a new phone because the hardware device will never run the app again. It's amazing. Anyway, Miguel has a question. Hi, how long does it take for, what is this? How long does it take to have a screening answer for a parking ticket, or should I have paid it? If you were breaking the law, I would pay it, because it's not worth my time to go to court and deal with it or have meetings about parking tickets. It's a parking ticket. It probably cost you the same thing if you would have paid for parking. Now, if you're truly, legitimately innocent, then by all means go through it. But I don't know how long it takes. I imagine everything takes forever. I've heard that people have been waiting for over a year for the response on a speeding ticket. A year. So if you haven't heard anything, I don't think you have to worry. Okay. Nicholas Wolf says, where can I get the driving test book? This is the handbook. You can get it at any major bookstore. You can get it on at Canadian Tire locations. I got mine at Shoppers Drug Mart. It's $14.95. But even better, even better, you can get it for free online. Just and I don't mean the book, but the online version of the book, which is what I'm reading through. You can go and just Google the official MTO driver's handbook. It is there. I think I'm going to put a link to it. I'll put a link to it on my link tree. So if you go to trafficcop.ca, you can get a link to it right there. It's a resource. It's a great resource. And of course, the first link that you get when you go to trafficcop.ca is a link to the playlist of my YouTube channel where I'm reading that book. It's a good thing. It's awesome. Brianne, you're very welcome. Apparently you can also get it at a drive test center. I didn't even think of that. And Jess says you can get it at Canadian Tire Drive Test, and Sean is doing a video on each chapter. Thank you for promoting it. Miguel says thank you, and Nicholas Wolf says thank you. Cool, awesome. We're up to date except for dad jokes. Poor guy. Kayla's been back and forth trying to get in between his meetings. So he also clarifies that duct tape is the foil tape for taping ducts. Duct tape is a brand of tape manufacturer, mainly polyurethane coated pressure sensitive tape. I'm glad I have you for the answers to all things and for dad jokes, for which I will read. Let's see here. We got. Okay, here we go. I pinned them all. Dad joke. This is how we end the show. Why are people always tired on April Fool's Day? I was a little early with the Why are people always tired on April Fool's Day? Because they just finished a march. See, I hit the button. I was a little trigger happy there. Star Wars dad jokes. What do you call it when there are too many aliens in the cantina? It's extraterrestrials. Extraterrestrials. I liked it. It was good. I accept that as an answer. I like it a lot. I mean, yeah. Extraterrestrials. Oh, Star Wars dad joke. Why don't Tusken Raiders laugh very often? They have a dry sense of humor. Do you know who Tusken Raiders are? Those are the guys with the head wrapped up but they have like the lenses on. I didn't know they talked at all. Did they talk? I thought they just sort of move around and whatnot. Okay. A quote. Happiness resides not in possessions and not in gold. The feeling of happiness dwells in the soul. Democritus? Is it Democritus? That's the name? Not a very nice name. I guess it's the name. He had no control over it. Yeah. Tusken Raiders. Kevin Sumatra writes. What? Jess says there's also tucked, T-U-C-T tape as well. Really? What is that for? I don't even want to know. Apparently, duct tape is not CSA approved. Really? Come on. Okay. Nicholas Wolf says, "What was your favorite thing about being a cop?" Helping people, and I'm still helping people, so I'm still happy about that. Let's see here. We have. Kevin wants to know if Mrs. Shapiro is not doing Watch Day. Mrs. Shapiro apparently doing other things and not helping out. She may not be available. But yes, moderators. I got to figure that out. I got to get some mods going. Michael used to mod, and I've got room on my. If you go to telegram.trafficcop.ca, you can join our Telegram group where we can talk about stuff all the time. Just a friendly group of regulars who chat about stuff and things. And Nate62 says, what? I don't know. I don't know what. And what do we have here? Jess shared their favorite joke. What do you call a cow laying down? Ground beef. I like that. Kevin says they have Gorilla Glue tape. That is amazing stuff. I buy a lot of Gorilla Glue tape. And then, tucked tape is used for board insulation on outside of houses. Good to know. Didn't know. Kevin Samantha says, why did the duck get arrested? He was selling quack. That's amazing. So much so that I'm going to actually put it in the comments, and so I can put it on the screen. That's brilliant. Why did the duck get arrested? He was selling quack. I like it. I like it a lot. Stefano says, how much does the moderator get paid? They don't. My wife does it for free, as do my regulars who help out just because they're here anyway, and they can block the people who are haters, like the folks or the gentleman. Can't call him a gentleman. The doggy doo-doo that I just banned. But yeah, it's just helping out the community. We're just a community here, helping people, and that's how it works. That's it. That's all. I am calling it a day. I've got to prepare for a podcast. I am relaunching the Traffic Jam podcast. And Traffic Jam podcast is where I jam about traffic, talking about some industry cool stuff. There is an opportunity to play a game, driving related, and possibly win $100,000. I'll be recording that episode between 12 and 2 today, editing it, hopefully to publish it tomorrow, and it's awesome. So talking to the fine folks at TIRF, the Traffic Injury Research Foundation, along with a secret guest. Well, not so secret. We'll be talking to them in the episode that's coming up right away. Well, after I finish here, I'm going to go have a bite to eat. Then I'm going to go and record the episode. Yeah. But possibility of winning $100,000 is pretty awesome. You'll learn all about that when I post the video tomorrow or Friday, depending on how much editing is required. Malachi says, thank you, sir. Till next time. Dylan says, I got a ticket and the cop said insurance on my phone wasn't okay to have. I can tell you that if you're in the province of Ontario, as long as it's through a secure app from your insurance provider, it is okay to have. The law has changed, but if you had a photo of it, then it's not okay. So it depends. Feel free to reach out to me. I don't do traffic ticket defense, but I can explain it a little better for you if you, since I got to go now. But you can go to trafficcop.ca, have a link to send me a message. Big Jeff Fesh says, have a great day. I got to do that 5-year license thing today. Oh no, you got to renew it? Oh, no fun. What is it, $80? How much is it to renew your license? Or is it free? I can't even tell anymore. What is free and what is not is the question. And, Riz Vision's joke is about how do you make a bull happy? And I'm not reading the answer. $90 to renew. Cool. Kevin says, I'd rather be in traffic jam than toe jam. I don't disagree with you. All right. And with that, I'm really leaving. Have a great day. Drive safe, drive sober, park legally, and we'll see you tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern time for Thursday's Ask a Traffic Cop After Dark. Have a good one. Dylan says he got a ticket for $5,000 for that not having insurance. Not having insurance is different than not showing the insurance slip. They'll take you to court. You bring an insurance person with you. They'll prove that you had insurance. You won't end up in court. But that's ridiculous. Having insurance and having no slip is $65. Yeah. If you're legit, you're insured. You got nothing to worry about other than wasting your time in court. But there you go. That's it. That's all. See you later.